show continues live from downtown San Francisco on KNBR and streaming live at knbr.com.
All right, you got Ted Ramey today. I am filling in for Damon Bruce. He's making his way back into California. He was down at the Super Bowl, obviously, all week last week, and he was going late into the evening last night. I was listening to him for a little while, and eventually I just laid in bed and had trouble sleeping. But here's a man who can maybe provide some more answers, and that's Kevin Lynch. He covers the 49ers for the San Francisco Chronicle, of course, sfgate.com. He's one of my favorite guys in this industry around here, and he's frequently in the building to do a little guest hosting, and today he gets to come on with me, so I'm excited about that most definitely. So, Kevin, how are you doing today?
Oh, I'm doing fine. I didn't play in the game. I didn't lose the game, so I'm doing all right.
Okay, fair enough. So you're watching that first half, and the Ravens are demolishing the 49ers. What was going on there?
I think that the 49ers were surprised by how good Joe Flacco was. And it's one thing to practice against, to do your scout team practices. And I think they were a little surprised about how well he threw the ball and the velocity of it. I mean, there were a lot of times when they were just a step slow.
Yeah.
And there was a huge disparity between the Ravens passing game and the 49ers secondary and the Ravens and the 49ers pass defense. And that was all game long. And they just had no answer. And throughout the playoffs, no one's had an answer for that Baltimore passing game.
No, they really haven't, and that leads me to something I've discussed all day long. The 49ers have to upgrade their secondary, and obviously you've got a salary cap to deal with, but what are they gonna do here? I mean, it's Culliver, it looked like they were picking on him. They were obviously picking on him. Right. And, sometimes the safety coverage are broken down. You got to stay behind the man, obviously, but what's your take on it? Because that's now that the 49ers pass rush has been exposed for being so reliant on a healthy Justin Smith, the secondary has come under scrutiny.
It has. And, I think they've got 13 or 14 draft picks. I don't think they have much money to go out and get anybody. And they might not have enough money to re-sign Deshaun Goldson. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do and what their evaluations, too, of their secondary players are, particularly Deshaun Goldson. So, I think they will try to solve the problem like they have up to this point through the draft. And I'm sure that they, drafting corners and defensive backs will be one of the top items on their draft list come this April.
Okay. Do you think that they'll also be looking at somebody to groom into a replacement for Justin Smith? I know he isn't retiring, but I mean, just the difference that somebody like him, a huge body like that on your defensive line, and somebody who's relatively versatile as he is, I mean, you could tell yesterday that he was nowhere near 100%. Yeah.
It was interesting because he seemed to play more and more effectively in the championship game than he did in the Super Bowl, which, and it just may be the way that injury is and the way it might have torn more. We don't know. And, of course, they're not going to tell us. But,
no.
Yeah, certainly they're going to try to get somebody who can replace Justin Smith. I mean, and that's, you're not going to replace Justin Smith.
No.
That's one of the issues. And, the other thing, too, Ted, is a lot has been made of Justin Smith, and I think that's valid. But I think the other part of it is, Aldon Smith has had this shoulder injury. He hasn't been the same. And the other thing is, I don't think this defense ever recovered, and I don't think it's all Justin Smith, from playing 92 snaps in New England.
Yeah.
At that point, this team fundamentally changed, and it no longer became a defensive team. And it was all on offense. And we saw that yesterday.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. I mean, it seemed like there was a conflict of theology going on with the 49ers that happened along with the change to Kaepernick. And I'm not saying it was obviously the right change, but it was about that time that it did turn into an offensive team. And, I guess I didn't realize it was 92 snaps. I guess, I knew they were on the field all day in that game. But, yeah, I mean, they didn't they didn't look as crisp. I think obviously the linebackers kept their level of play up oftentimes, but the pass rush started to disappear, and it all kind of tapered off from there.
Yeah, it really did. And also I think they weren't as ready as Baltimore. I think Baltimore had a really good attitude going into it. I think they were much looser. The 49ers looked nervous and uptight throughout the entire first half, and I think that hurt them. And, Baltimore, even during the week, even though I wasn't there, I mean, they come off the plane, they got the camcorders going. You see them at practice, and they're goofing around. The 49ers, they were so strictly business. They come off the plane, no camcorders, no, let's savor the moment. It's all, hey, business. And, you talk to Frank Gore on Tuesday, and he says, I haven't even been out of the hotel. I've been watching film. I mean, I just think they were a little woven too tight for this game.
Okay, yeah. No, I mean, I think there's a lot of talk of people saying, they reflect their coaches' personalities. But, maybe Jim Harbaugh was a little bit too strict. The other thing I want to get into, Kevin, is I've been of the thinking that Colin Kaepernick is going to be a bona fide star in the NFL for the last few weeks here since that breakout game against Green Bay where he rushed for, 181 yards. But yesterday, what he was able to do with his arms, I mean, he's looking to put himself in the elite quarterback conversation very quickly depending on how he performs next year. I mean, he has not just the running skill set, but his passing game with that, Elway-like arm. I mean, it was incredible what he did in the second half.
Yeah, no question. I mean, he's got it all. I mean, he's composed. He's smart. He can run an offense that the NFL is not ready for yet. He can run that pistol scheme. He's really good at it, and he's good at running the nuances of it. And he's got a great arm. I mean, that's something that Phil Simms said a couple of weeks ago. He said, look, this guy is an elite quarterback just on his arm alone. And then you add the other intangibles, and I think the 49ers have something special.
Yeah, it's incredible to watch him and just what he did in the second half yesterday. I mean, that was just – I was not ready for a performance like that because especially with all the pressure involved of a Super Bowl and a 22-point deficit. But he came out and did it all, which brings me – we've got time for you to go a little bit in depth on this for a second. But that last series with they get down to the 7-yard line after Gore's big run, and then it all fell apart. I mean, is that the not being prepared for the 2-minute drill or the short field for Kaepernick? He needs more room to work with at this point in his career? Or I mean, what happened there? Because I'm still utterly baffled.
Well, I think part of it was what Baltimore was doing. They made sure that the 49ers wouldn't run it. I mean, they were all up at the line of scrimmage, and even when, on that last fourth down play, there's Jimmy Smith. He's your fourth corner, basically, for the Ravens against your number one receiver with no safety help. Mm-hmm. That's the place to go. That's the call. And I think it was a good call, and I think you had to do it. I think the 49ers liked that right there, and I think their eyes lit up. Jimmy Graham made the play. That's just the way it was. Of course, he held.
Well, but it's the NFL and the Super Bowl. They're not going to call that.
Exactly, and he was great on his hold. He held, just like a lineman. He held the inside part of the body and the torso where the rest couldn't see it, and he made the play.
Yeah, but what about the rush nature of it, though? I mean, do you think they should have called a timeout or taken a 5-yard penalty there?
Definitely not take the penalty, but maybe take a timeout and maybe try through a formation to get something different.
Yeah, it just seemed very rushed.
It did seem rushed, and it did seem discombobulated because of that. But I think if the 49ers got that again, they would do it the exact same thing. And, that's a great matchup. If you're the 49ers, you probably win that 2 out of 3 times.
Fair enough. All right, we got to go to a sports update now, Kevin, but thank you very much. And as always, Kevin Lynch covers the 49ers for the San Francisco Chronicle. You can also catch him on sfgate.com. You have a good one, Kevin. I appreciate it.
All right, Ted, anytime. Thanks.
All right, we've got Danny Fry now.